fears to wear the red hand badge upon his manly breast? What scab obeys the royal command of Murphy and the rest? He's all a slave and half a knave who slights his union laws. But true men like you men will show the badge with us. They dare to fling the manly brick, they wreck the blackleg tram. They dare give Harvey Duff a kick, they couldn't give a damn. They lie in jail and can't get bail, who fought their corner laws. But true men like you men will make the peelers cuss. Is Dennis not in here? You haven't seen me brother, have you? Skinny fella, red hair. No? Did you hear what happened? No! You've missed it! Come on in, I tell you. Come on, come in. Come on, all of you. Come on in. Come on, don't worry, me ma's at mass, you won't mind. You can come in. Come on. It's all kicked off, hasn't it? I'll tell you one thing. You see that Murphy fella, he'll back down. Big Jim was right. You see, the strike only started at Tuesday and it's what? 5 days. 5 days and his back's already against the ropes. Pardon me. Have you ever seen him? Did you ever hear him speak? Larkin? No. Well, you see that man? He's a force of nature. A freak of nature. Me brother Dennis now, he's a big Larkin, you know, big Larkin fan. He's been dragging me to Liberty Hall every night to hear him speak, and I tell you, it's something else. I mean, to be sat there with hundreds of men of all ages, all fighting for the same thing. All fighting for the same cause, and every last one of them wearing the red hand badge. The union badge, you know. I tell you, it makes me burst with pride. Were you there Friday? You missed it. Me and Dennis went. There must have been, I'd say, about 1,000 of us. Larkin was giving it the large one, telling us all to stay strong, to stay together, that this was it. And you know what? I believe him. I believe him when he says this is it, because I believe we can take no more of it. Now, we did say that none of us should go to that Bows and Shells match because there was a scab playing for one of the teams. I took that to heart, to be honest. I'm a big Bows fan, you know. And then to find out that the scab was Jack Miller. Jack Miller! I couldn't believe that. You see, I know him. I used to play football with him myself up in the Temple. I was disgusted. Dennis was absolutely fuming, so myself, him and 12 other fellas from this house, we went down to pick it. Now, we got there around lunchtime. The game wasn't kicking off to 3, but we wanted to get there early. We wanted to give Miller a piece of our mind. We seen him going in his horse-drawn carriage, and we ran after him. Scab! 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 The shame of it was unbelievable. The look on his face. I don't know how he sleeps at night. Now, we start getting out of hand after that though, when the tram came over the bridge. You see, the tram was full of supporters to the game, and Larkin had said not to attend, only to pick it. So them supporters, they were as bad as the scabs, if you ask me. So the men start running and attacking it and shaking it. It nearly toppled over. People were throwing bottles, bricks, jam jars, anything they could get their hands on. I had a lead pipe myself, and as I ran to attack it, a shot was fired, and I stopped. I looked all around for my brother. I couldn't find him anywhere. Now, he was all right. The tram driver had let off his revolver. You see, Murphy has given some of his scab tram drivers revolvers to protect themselves, keepers of the peace or something. This fella let one off in the air, and everyone just started scattering all around the place. I found Dennis, and we headed down Great Brunswick Street. Do you know that? It's down beside Trinity College there. You know that, don't you? Well, I tell you, you wouldn't know it after last night. The place was destroyed. Upended it was. You see, there was rioting and looting. The men were breaking into the pubs, hopping over the bars and serving one another. I seen one fella, right drunk as a skunk he was. He walked out with a beer barrel. He picked it up and he threw it through a shop window, smashed all of the glass, and then some woman just walked in after him. It was a woman's shoe shop, you see. She walked in, grabbed herself a pair of shoes and put them on her. She left her old ones there on display, and then she just ran off. Down Brunswick Street she was. Look at me new shoes, everyone. Mouthed on her like a malahide cod she had. I wouldn't mind either, but she must have been about 70 years of age. Me and Dennis think she was with her, man. And then we headed on to Butt Bridge, and that's the last time I seen him. Last time I seen me brother, he was fighting about 3 or 4 constables himself. Dennis the hero, eh? But I helped him out now. I got one constable away from him and I lapped him. Caught him right in the mouth, I did. And then the animal bit me, would you believe that? So as he was getting up, I gave him one last kick and he stayed down. He didn't move again after that, and that's why I ran, because I didn't want to be caught. Now Larkin has said he's going to speak on Sackville Street today. They're alive, he said. And he won't let us down. He can't let us down. This is it. This is the start of it. I can feel it. We're taking no more. You know, there's nearly 935 people living on this street alone. Could you imagine what we could do together? Could you imagine what we could achieve? Now I'm going to Sackville Street. Are you coming? Come on! Where the hell is you going? I lost you on Butt Bridge, I'm after.
You're not going to find me up here, are you? Who are you?
Oh, my friends.
My man always here.
No. She's at the mass with Chrissy. Look at me hand. One of them bit me.
Shut up, Charlie, you probably bit yourself.
What's wrong with you?
I got a whack in the side bed.
Who did that to you?
I don't know, Charlie. Didn't look around and see who hit me. We was too short. Last time I seen you, you were standing at the top of Butt Bridge with 2 bars in your hand ready to dive in.
Yeah, I was getting stuck in, wasn't it?
Yeah, but James now.
Yeah. You didn't see it, did you?
I seen it, Charlie. I seen it with my own eyes. Kept himself to himself. Didn't say a word to anyone. He had me with us all day. Nothing to do with it. He walked out of the pub and down Aiken Quay, quiet as a mouse. Then I heard of that bunch of animals. There must have been about 20 or 40 constables all drunk.
Yeah, because they've been drinking since Tuesday.
They charged down Aiken Quay, smashing every sign up and sight and grinding their teeth like the animals that they are. Then I heard one of them shout, "Let's give it to them boys." My God, did they give it to poor James Nolan. One of them ran full speed ahead, batting at the ready and smashed it off the top of Nolan's head. Then he stood on his shoulder. That wasn't enough. He seen poor Nolan try to get up, but he was praying he'd stay down. The poor chap got barely stand. They bet him and they bet him till his skull was crushed. They still hear the crunching sound of the bat. I know who it was, I'm not afraid to say it. Constable Bell, number 224C, he led the attack, he hit Nolan in the head, and number 149C,
Dennis, will you keep that to yourself?
I'm not afraid to say it, Charlie, I'll say it to any one of you. They hit him and they hit him till he stopped moving. Nolan was out cold. I knew he had enough. Before I knew it, I was shouting at him to stop. "You damn cowards," I shouted. Next thing I knew, I was on the floor, batting out the side of the head.
Give us a look. Jesus, Dennis. You want to get yourself to a hospital.
I thought about getting up, Charlie. Then I looked across and seen James Nolan lying on the ground, blood streaming from his head. He was just looking at me. Looking at me.
Alright, Dennis. Get yourself to the Jervis now, will you?
Not going to the Jervis. I swear they took James Nolan, but I can tell you one thing, it's more than the hospital that man needed.
So what do we do now?
You're going to stay to you. What I meant to say to me, man, told her I'd keep you out of trouble.
I know.
I promise you one thing, Charlie, there's going to be justice for James Nolan's death. Murphy's running scared, I can feel it. They tried to arrest him, Big James, but they couldn't keep him. Now they're trying to beat out of us like the cowards that they are. They can't button charge the whole lot of us, can they? I'm heading out to Croydon Park. What
are you going to Croydon Park for?
I saw PT Daly yesterday before he locked himself in the Liberty Hall. He said Larkin's going to speak there today, so come on!
Larkin's going to speak on Sackville Street, dead or alive. Now that's where we're going.
He's going to Sackville Street! Come on, man! Come on!
Where are you going?
We're going to Sackville Street. Larkin said he'd be there, dead or alive.
Yeah, we'll just get back here more alive than dead, will yous? There's children out there, and I'm after seeing them tying two cats' tails together and then hanging them off the door handle. Wouldn't you think I'd seen it all at this stage? Then again, I've been saying that now. I remember saying the same thing when I seen them two houses collapsing over on Church Street. I never thought I'd see that either. I've seen the best and the worst of what this life has to offer, let me tell you. And do you know what else I never thought I'd see? Mothers packing up their children and sending them over to England to get fed. And I never thought I'd see priests tearing children out of mothers' arms, or the Archbishop going and condemning the women from the pulpit and then printing their names and addresses all over the newspaper. I better go and check on her. You can come on in with me. Come on.
Can you hear them? I always listen to them breathing when they're asleep. It's after taking me ages to get them off. He's all excited about his Christmas party down in Croydon Park tomorrow. I love that bed. Do you like it? I love it. My father gave us that bed. Well, we were after this room since the engagement, myself and Tommy. I think it's the nicest room in the house. And we have the extra space out there as well. We weren't the only ones after it. So Tommy put up 2 months in advance just to be sure we'd get it. We were so proud then when we moved in. We weren't always like this, you know. We're respectable people. There's over 100 people living in this house, all respectable people. And myself and Tommy are good, hard-working, honest Catholics. Not like some of them you find across the street. Protestants. We wanted to live like the gentry. That's why we chose this place. Silly, I suppose. I don't imagine the gentry that once lived here going down to Capel Street to buy their bonnets second hand, now pawning their belongings of a Monday to pay for the rent. Tommy wants me to try and sell this bed now. It's all we have left worth anything. Had a bit of a falling out over it earlier. I don't care though. I won't do it. Still in all though. He always came through that door of a Friday with the wages, straight home from work. A lot to be said for that. Not every man around here would do it. He'd always give me the few bob to redeem the belongings from the uncle. And if he was ever fortunate enough to get a bit of overtime, he'd say, "Here, love, why don't you go down the Ivy tomorrow and get some clobber for yourself and the children?" He'd always kiss me down when he'd come in the door. He'd say, "There's only one woman in the world for me, And before I'd even have the time to be modest, he'd be out with it. Helen of Troy, he'd say. It always made me laugh, that joke, even though I knew well it was coming. Doesn't really joke so much anymore now, though. I think the youngers after been starved out of him. Doesn't know what to be doing with himself. Tosses and turns all night long in that bed with the worry. Can't bear to see him so frustrated. I just keep my eyes closed, pretend I'm asleep. He's a good man. I met him one night when I was out walking with my pal. He was on the corner with her chap. Well, anyway, she decided to go for a walk with hers because they had a bit of a falling out and she wanted to make it up with him. So I left myself and Tommy walking behind. Well, we got chatting as you do, and he asked me out. Now, I had been seeing this other chap about a week or two before this, but he finished with me. So I was feeling a bit of a washout, you know. I said, Tommy, you don't have to ask me out. I know, he said, but I want to. Well, that lifted me spirits for me, and I didn't feel like such a washout then. I ran home and told me Dad, and he was delighted as well to see the life put back into me. Tommy married me then, and he's always been true to me. I wonder how much I'd get for the bed. I'm not selling it now. I just wonder what it's worth. Was always able to keep myself and the children looking respectable. He always had shoes on his feet even before he was walking. Most of the children be running around here without a stitch on their feet. Some of the other mothers used to scoff at me though. Say I was being a right snob. Well, I suppose now that we're being truthful about things, I was being a bit of a snob. I took that as a compliment, really. No snobbery anymore, though. No shoes, for that matter. This lockout soon rectified that upperacity out of me. No feeling superior, I can tell you, when you're standing in your line at the food chips queuing with your ticket in your hand. All classes of people standing together feeling desolated, even though they're entitled to it. Some of the other women, though, to be still trying to hide themselves in the queue. This one I know from up the road, Mrs. Riley. Thinks she's ever so grand, she does. Was always looking down her nose on everybody, you know, never had any time for me. Well, anyway, this one day we're in the queue, and I'm in front of her. She's about 6 or 7 behind. So I looks back to her. You, Mrs. Riley, shouldn't you not be up the front? And she's still trying to hide from me under her big Sunday hat. So just for devilment, I says, you want to get a bigger hat than that, Mrs. Riley, if you don't want anyone to see it. Silly, isn't it? Mere 6 months in and she's still trying to hide herself. Sure, isn't we all in the same boat? It's terrible hard at first, granted. It's embarrassing, some of the things you have to do, and the hunger to have you weak at the knees. But you soon harden yourself to it. No choice. You have to do what you have to do to keep going. Don't you, though? I take the children down to Liberty Hall kitchen for their breakfast. Want to see the queues down there, so you have to get there early. I do carry them down now most mornings, because it does be still dark when we're going. Very slippery as well with the bad weather we're having. But Mrs. Rand is good to the women down there, especially if you're in the family way. She always makes sure I eat me bit while I'm there. She knows if I go taking it with me, I'll be only saving it for the children for later, going without myself, you know. She'd be right as well, though, I would. Some days that breakfast is all they do have in their little bellies until the next one. Then I had to ask me auntie for the lend of our 2 sons to board with us. That's where they stay in there. 3 straight pays is better than 1. And I know this was once a fine big fancy room, but the truth is it's falling apart. Sure, the skirtings and all is that they're having to be burnt. Ah! I get terrible chest pain coming over me. Is that natural? Do you think I'd get 8 shillings for the bed? Stretch another few months if I got the 8. I'd have to put something off the arrears, get some bread, bit of tea and dripping. What if they only gave me 6 for it though? Still even the 6. The men are sticking with it for the Christmas anyway, by the looks of things. Suppose it'd be foolish not to now after so much tragedy and hardship. And there's been tragedy on all sides. Now, not for a moment do I condone the actions of that Mr. Murphy or them employers, but suppose I just feel sorry for the men that are having to go back to work. God knows they're probably only doing it to feed their families. But then what about the poor innocent people after getting killed? James Nolan, John Bourne, Patrick Daly, only 17 shot. What about poor old Alice Brady, huh? Only going up for a food parcel she was. What about them? For all them people out there fighting for what they think is right. Which is right, though? I mean, you have to fight for what you believe in. I understand that. But do all them people believe in what they're fighting for? Do they really believe in it? Is it the truth to them in the dead of night? I listen to them breathing in the dead of night. God forgive me, but sometimes of late I pray to God they stop. At least it'd be peaceful for them that way. Apologies for the bluntness now, but that's how I feel. It's the truth of it. And we're all to tell the truth. If even just every woman who lived in this house alone were to tell the truth about how they feel, where would we be? I'm better than this. Better than how you see me standing here in front of you. Standing here all the same, though, aren't I? And my Tommy. He's the most kindest, most wonderfulest man you'll ever meet in your entire life. But God knows I hate his guts at the minute for letting them children suffer. I know it's a sin to sell the bed, but I will. I have to. Now listen, I wouldn't normally do this now. And I'm terrible sorry for asking you. But would you think now that any of you might be in a position to give me something for it?
How about you, Charlie? You know that. Charlie, I'm warning you. Straight to go. I'm telling you, shoot up now, Jen. Now, Jen. You make me sick, son. No, Jesus. I said to God, I'll tell him. I'll tell him, Mary. Take him inside and I'll tell him. Don't say to God, Charlie. I swear to God.
Get him away from me. He has that thing in his hand, he won't show me what it is.
I don't have anything in my hand, Mary. No, I won't.
Show me it.
No, I told you. You're making a show of us.
Come on,
you
get
shut
out.
up, you
Come on, get out. Oh, you're out.
I nearly know it's showing. It's none of your business,
Show him it.
Mary. No, I won't.
Show him
No, I
it. He's
told you.
ashamed of him, Mary, that's what. We'll show him. Show me.
I have no choice, I told you.
Mary, what does this say?
I will not join as a support any union. I know what I signed, Charlie. You don't have to read it out to me.
You should be ashamed of yourself, you know that? Putting your name to this. Our name, our father's
It's
name.
only a piece of paper.
A piece of paper. Mary, would you sign that?
It's
Would you?
over, Charlie.
It's not over. It can't be over. We can't just move on, Dennis. We're not giving up. Not now. We can't just forget. Forget about Nolan and Chris.
I'm not forgetting about it, Charlie. But I can't go on living like this forever, can I?
Just hold on, will you? Please. The bosses will speak to us soon, Dennis. They'll agree to collective bargaining.
Collective bargaining? Charlie, the boss is going to hold on for as long as they want. They're having 3 hot meals a day. When's the last time you had a hot meal? Come on, tell me, when's the last time you had a hot meal? If we hold on any longer, Charlie, we won't be able to walk. You'll be that weak you won't be able to lift the shovel.
Can't do this.
But what are you going to do then? What are you going to do?
I don't know.
You're not used to anyone like this half-starved.
Yeah, well, I'd rather starve. Yeah, I'd rather that than be a scab.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you taught me, didn't you? You know, you're the one who brought me to all the pickets, Dennis. To the rallies, the marches. You taught me all about Larkin. So what's changed then? What was the point? An injury for one is a concern for all. Larkin would be ashamed of you.
Oh yeah. And what's Larkin done for us? It's been 6 months. Do you think he's standing up and
hasn't he? At least he tried.
It's over. Even Conley said it was over. The doctors are back. The tramway workers are back. Even old husband signed this morning.
Did your husband sign this?
Sorry, Mary.
Tommy wouldn't sign that, would he? Mary. Mary, did Tommy sign this? Mary! I don't believe this. 2 scabs in there.
I'm on a scab, Charlie, I'm warning you.
Scab!
Charlie, don't push me.
Scab!
I'm not a scab. Jeremy! I have no choice, you know that. It's over.
I hate you for this. Alright? I'll hate you. Don't tell me, Ma. Where's your badge gone?
I'm not allowed to wear it anymore.
Who fears to
Charlie, I'm warning you, don't start me.
the
Charlie, I'm warning you.
badge upon his manly breast. What scab obeys the royal command of Murphy and the rest? He's all a slave and half a knave who slights his union thus. But true men like you men will show the badge with us. This isn't over. It's not over!
What can I do? What can I do? What?